So what is our motivation? That's a question sometimes in TV and movie production that is asked. So what's my motivation for this scene? You have to give them a little detail, a little background, so they get a mindset and understand how the delivery is supposed to come across to the audience. It could be a Hamlet soliloquy. Alas, poor Yorick, I knew him well. It could be something from Gomer Pyle. Oh, golly, Sergeant Carter, shazam! Apologies to Jim Neighbors, God rest his soul. A humorous thing. My dad, being in the Marines, loved to watch that and knew people just like that in the Marines. But motivation is something that comes from within. It's not something that is pressed upon you. When the apostles are with Jesus one-on-one, or that small intimate group, now we get the full story. Now we get page 2, the rest of the story. So Lord, explain this to us. What does this parable actually mean? I mean, the people are out there talking among themselves, and they heard it, and they're kind of discussing it. But you know what it means. Please share that with us. So really, what is our motivation? Where do we fit into that parable? Is our motivation to be the children of the kingdom, is that motivation out of faith, out of love for following the Good Shepherd, or is it out of fear? Because you listen to the rest of the story, then the Son of Man will send his angels, and they will collect out of his kingdom all who cause others to sin and all evildoers, throw them into the fiery furnace, wailing and grinding of teeth. Oh, don't want to be on that team. So is the motivation to live one's faith based solely on fear and punishment? Well, when we look at the crucifix, is our motivation for living our faith every single day that of gratitude? Gratitude that the Lord loved us this much, stretched out his arms and offered his life for every single one of us. For those who would believe and those he would hope would come to believe. We know in our world there are still a lot that just skim the surface of what they perceive to be faith and to be faithful, but only on their terms, only when it's convenient, never going out of their way, never really being prompted by the grace of the Holy Spirit to enter into a moment of grace. And I mean enter into it. Not just be, brushed by it or grazed by it, but wholeheartedly entering into a moment of grace, being present to the Christ in another human being. And perhaps at that moment in their life, in that moment of grace for them, calling the Christ that is within more fully to the forefront, that they too might understand what it is to be motivated by faith, gratitude, compassion. Sometimes the disciples don't really want to hear what the parable means, unless it fits their own desires, their own agenda. And we get it because they're human. It took them 3 years plus to understand and truly commit themselves, to find that motivation is not out of personal agenda or greed or anything we can get out of life or out of someone else, but the true motivation to live one's faith is the gratitude for the life of the Good Shepherd, who truly has laid down his life for his sheep, and by the love and the grace of the Father has been raised from the dead. The Good Shepherd who has opened the gates of paradise and still leads his flock into the fullness of God's kingdom. May our motivation each day be one that is genuine, one that is loving, one that is reminiscent and exemplary of the life of the Good Shepherd.